Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be going over the top 10 brawlers in Brawl Stars, so let's hop into it. Alright, so I have 3 honorable mentions just before we get into our top 10, and the first 2 are going to be Poco and Mortis, and I'm going to group them together because, in my opinion, they will almost always have a spot in the meta just because they counter so many comps. Now, Poco Double Tank is such a strong comp versus, so many low DPS brawlers, and that's why Poco is always going to have a spot somewhere in the meta, as well as Mortis is always going to counter throwers and low DPS brawlers like Mr. P, Ruffs. Even Bell is not very good against Mortis, so, all those brawlers are going to struggle against Mortis and Poco, and that's why they're going to be honorable mentions for me, because they are still viable in the meta, just not quite on the top 10. I'm also going to have Squeak in the honorable mentions just because I see him listed very high in other players' rankings, and personally, I don't think Squeak is very good, but again, I could be wrong, guys. Squeak is still very new brawler. Just in my opinion, his range is too low, and it's too easy to dodge his shots at the moment, so that's why I'm going to keep Squeak in the honorable mentions, but he could be climbing the ranks very soon. Alright, at number 10, we're going to have Ems. Now, Ems has been climbing the rankings for me, at least. Ems seems to be a pretty solid option on a lot of Brawl Ball maps, as well as even sometimes in Siege versus the tanks. In my opinion, Ems is doing pretty well in the meta. Now, if you pair Ems with a Max, Ems seems to be very, very hard to deal with because once you speed up, you're and you have super, you're basically unstoppable. You're going to be healing a ton with your hype star power, and the other team is just going to get slowed in your super, and they're going to have a really hard time taking care of you, and that is why I have Ems at number 10. Alright, at number 9, we're going to have a brawler that has been in the top 10 for a long time now, it seems. So Colonel Ruffs or Ruffs is going to be in my number 9 slot, and that is because, well, mostly because of his super, and once you power up your teammates, once you power up your carry brawlers on your team, your carry brawlers become really hard to kill, and then they just take over the game, in my opinion. So there's always going to be a spot where you can actually use the Ruffs comp, where you can heal up your carry brawler, you give him more HP, power him up, and then that's honestly a really good strat still currently in the meta, as well as Ruffs sandbags do a great job of countering 2 brawlers that I think are really strong in the meta, Stu and Gene, because they just don't reload quick enough, and the sandbags are hard for them to take out. So that is going to be why Ruffs is in my number 9 slot. Alright, coming in at number 8, we're going to have all 3 throwers. We're going to exclude Dynamite, unfortunately. Dynamite just didn't quite make it, in my opinion. So we're going to have Tick, Sprout, and Barley all grouped up together because they all kind of do the same thing. And it just depends on the map, really, which one you're going to pick. But in my opinion, Barley, Sprout, and Tick are all really strong right now. And a lot of the maps are really good for them right now because there's so many walls. And you can just hide behind the walls as well. You can pair yourself up with the Ruffs or something, and you can just get powered up. But honestly, throwers just seem to be really good right now. Now, Carl is somewhat back in the meta. He somewhat counters the throwers, but I still think throwers are pretty strong right now. And that is why we're going to have him in my 8th slot. Alright, at number 7, I'm going to have Crow. Now, Crow has been climbing the ranks recently in almost everybody's tier list and everybody's pro games. You're going to see a ton more Crow, and that is honestly because the gadget is so OP. Let me tell you, the gadget right now where you slow the enemies for 5 seconds is absolutely ridiculous. Once you get slowed, you can barely do anything inside the game. You're gonna go down if you get slowed almost like 99% of the time if the other team knows what they're doing. And you have 3 slows, so technically you can slow the enemy for 15 seconds out of a game, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. And Crow's shot is actually really strong right now. It lowers your damage by 25%, it stops the enemy from healing, and honestly, all that together with the slow is just an absolute insane combo right now. And you're gonna see a ton more Crow in the competitive matches, and Crow is gonna keep climbing the ranks if he doesn't get a nerf anytime soon. So you might even see Crow in the top 3 next time around, but he's gonna land at my number 7 spot for now. Alright, at number 6, we're going to have Amber. Now, in my opinion, Amber honestly came almost out of nowhere. Now, Amber was really broken at one point and then just completely fell off in the meta. And now, honestly, Amber's back, and I don't really know why, but it is absolutely really strong right now inside the meta. Basically, Amber is just going to charge her super, just going to sit on her puddle of flames or whatever you want to call it. It's going to charge her super and then place it all over the map, and you're going to have flames everywhere across the map. And her super does way too much damage, in my opinion. Once you get caught on flames, which is really easy to do, you're going to take so much damage and you're not going to be able to heal up. And honestly, it's just worse than Crow's normal attack, in my opinion. And again, it does way too much damage, so Amber's going to hit my number 6 spot. All right, at the number 5 slot, we're going to have one of my worst enemies inside of the game. We're going to have Gene. Now, there's been too many times that I've lost competitive matches or lost even ladder matches because I get Gene pulled across the map, and hopefully I'm not alone. But anyway, guys, Gene Super, in my opinion, is too, game deciding. And once you have a Gene Super, you can just like sit behind a wall and the other team can't really move up the map because they're just going to get Gene pulled into a team and you're going to go down instantly. So in my opinion, it's almost a little bit too hard to play against the Gene pull. Not to mention, Gene has a super good star power where anytime anyone's around him, is going to gain 400 HP a second. And in my opinion, that's a ton of healing. And honestly, he pairs well with so many brawlers inside the game right now. And Gene combined with Max is going to be too broken in my opinion. Gene is just going to keep healing the Max up, as well as the Max is going to keep speeding the Gene. And it's going to make it so easy for Gene just to hit auto aim pulls. And he's going to have too much of an influence over the game in my opinion. So that's going to be why Gene hits my top 5 list. Alright, at number 4, we're going to have the brawler that basically has no counters and basically synergizes with every brawler in the game, and that is going to be Max. And Max has just been so good for so long now, and it's basically just because of Max's kit. Now, Max is just overall such a great brawler. He has a very nice gadget that allows him to tank shots or to avoid damage, as well as this super just goes so well with any brawler inside the game. And it's such a good super that you can use just to speed up your teammates and cause so much problems for the other team. Once the team is speeded up, it's really hard to have any sort of counterplay. You either need a slow or you just need to be really on point with the way you're positioning, because they can pinch you so easily. And again, Max is just such a good brawler with almost no counters right now, so that's why Max is going to get my number 4 slot. Alright, coming in at number 3, this is one of my favorite brawlers inside the game, and I'm so glad to see him back in the meta, and that's going to be Carl. Now, Carl is just really strong right now with the recent buff. In my opinion, Carl is just such a good utility brawler. He's so mobile. He can do so many things inside the game. He can use his super to kill people. He can use his super to move up the map, as well as his flying hook gadget is so good in so many modes. You just become one of the most mobile brawlers in the game, and not to mention, he actually does quite a bit of damage now, especially with power throw. He is able to hit his enemies. Before the attack speed buff, he actually really struggled to hit the enemies. It was too easy to dodge his pickaxe, and now Carl is very hard to dodge in my opinion. The pickaxe travels at a really good speed, and that's going to be why Carl takes the number 3 slot. Alright, coming in at number 2 is going to be Stu. Now, Stu has been so good for so long now. Stu is absolutely busted inside the game. And honestly, you have to run his second star power, which is Gaso Heal. And in my opinion, the first star power makes Stu just an okay brawler. And once you run the Gaso Heal star power, Stu becomes absolutely insane. Every single time you dash, you gain 500 HP. So when you think about it, and you unload 3 ammo, 3 dashes in a row, quick auto aim dash, whatever you want to do, you're going to gain 1500 HP, and you're also just going to deal a ton of damage traveling across the map at insane speeds. So Stu is right now really good inside the meta in my opinion, as well as Stu's gadget is actually really good for the team. Once you place it in a safe location, your team gains a really nice speed boost that allows them to juke more shots, to move around the map quicker. And let me tell you guys, if you guys didn't realize, speed is one of the best things inside of Brawl Stars. Once you get extra speed, you can do so much more inside the game. You can outplay your opponent even more, and that's going to be why Stu, in my opinion, is such a good brawler right now. He's still going to be really high in almost everybody's list, I hope. But anyway, guys, let's hop into the number 1 brawler. Alright, if you didn't guess it already, Belle is still going to be absolutely insane, and it's going to be in my number 1 slot. Even with the slight range nerf, Belle is going to be very strong still in the meta right now, and it has to do a lot with her mechanic where her shot bounces between teammates, so it makes it so the other team can't even group up. And honestly, there's so many maps where your team has to group up really in order to play the game, and sometimes you just have no choice but to group up, and Belle punishes that so good. And also, her gadget is absolutely punishing. If you get hit by that gadget, you're almost always going to go down if the other team is in range of you, because you can't juke anything anymore, and you're just going to get killed very quickly. And Belle's super is going to be really strong inside the game. Once you mark something, once you mark an enemy, a bot, whatever you mark, it's going to make it so much easier to take out your target. And if you're marking an enemy siege bot, honestly, your team shreds the bot so fast. And that's actually why Belle is even pretty decent in siege, where I wouldn't think Belle would be any good. But trust me, Belle is good absolutely everywhere right now. And anyways, guys, so Belle is going to be in my number 1 spot. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Now again, this is just my opinion, so don't be too harsh on me in the comments. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 list, and if you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.